I wasn't planning on buying this, and if you watched my previous reviews, I purchased the Tab S7 with a keyboard instead. I sold that and I purchased it. If you ever used a MacBook's trackpad, you are spoiled as I am. It's very hard to go back to any other trackpad. I think that's the main reason that threw me off and I couldn't enjoy the Tab S7 keyboard. But that does not mean it's perfect. It has its own issues and that price. This thing is really expensive. I mean, you can actually buy a new iPad at this price. That's why it took me some time to get the courage to buy this one. I don't regret it. The design and material have its own flaws. It is solid and it is very well built, but it attracts dust and oil. There is no easy way to open it with one hand. It is uncomfortable. I mean, you can try a lot of things, but it's still hard. The biggest highlight of this keyboard, and the reason why it's called a magic keyboard, because how the iPad floats on it. And the reason I appreciate it more after using the Tab S7 keyboard, that how close it is to your face. The benefit of that is that it looks bigger. Magnets on this keyboard are great. I mean, you can hold the iPad the way you want to. My problem with this design is the limited hinge. You cannot bend it after a certain angle. If you have a table with good height or you use it on your lap, it's okay. But if the surface is slow, it's very hard to work on it for long hours. I usually use it on my lap because why not? Another advantage of using this over a laptop, because it does not get warm on your lap like any other laptop. The iPad connects to the keyboard with those 3 dots in the back, and with that you get an extra USB-C port on the hinge, and thanks to that you can charge your iPad with that USB-C, and you can use the iPad USB-C for external monitor or external drive. I just wish I could use that USB-C port more than charging. Well, when you pay so much, you are allowed to be greedy. I also noticed that the charging speed on that hinge USB-C port is slower than the iPad's USB-C port. So if you're looking for a quick charge, I would suggest that you use the iPad USB-C port. The keyboard is relatively small, but it's phenomenal. It's much better than my Mac's keyboard because my Mac has those butterfly keys. I don't like using my Mac's keyboard. I rather use a Magic Keyboard or any Logitech keyboard over that. So this keyboard is great and it has a good key travel. You will miss those function keys here as well, especially for keyboard brightness, because you have to go into the setting to change that brightness. But hey, it has a backlit keyboard and you can adjust the brightness. I also noticed that this keyboard eats some amount of battery, although it adjusts the brightness of keyboard automatically according to the environment, but I would suggest keeping it on low or turn it off in the daytime. The one main key is missing, that is escape key, but there's a workaround for that and I'll get that into customization. Let's talk about trackpads, shall we? But before that, if you're liking this video, it's very easy to click on that subscribe button. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you used Mac's trackpad, you are spoiled. And the trackpad on this keyboard is great. It's wide enough, but sometimes you're going to feel the height is small. It just took me minutes to get used to it. It's not exactly like a Mac's trackpad as it moves, but you can click on any side of this keyboard. The gestures are amazingly smooth and kind of similar to Mac. The response is very accurate and you're not going to feel that it's missing any movements, taps or clicks. I think that was all about the hardware. But the great thing about this keyboard, that its features do not end there. Before talking about that, I want to talk about the issues I faced on this iPad and the Tab S7 as well, because the issues are mainly related to Google Apps. Remember how I talked about the small features that were missing in Tab S7 keyboard? Well, those things are missing here, but only with Google Apps. So you cannot select the text in Docs app, like clicking on one side and swiping your finger. Also, you cannot select text in YouTube application. You cannot tap the space to pause the media on YouTube application as well. So I started using Safari for all of that. But I didn't face those issues in apps like Apple TV or Netflix. You can still tap space to pause the media and you can use arrow keys for moving backward and forward. I think Google needs to add a better support of a keyboard in their apps. Remember how I talk about the escape key workaround? You can use your globe key as an escape key like I am doing, or you can use your caps lock, whatever you want. The escape key is really important, especially when you're using a command line editor like Vim. So all the IT people out there, you can thank me later. If you go on the accessibility, you can turn on the full access keyboard. You can customize this the way you want. You can customize your key to open the control panel, notification center, and many more things. You can also disable the tap to click and double tap to right click. You can also use double tap to lock an item to move it around. You can also use your clicks for any other feature because you're already using tap to click. And there's a very small detail that I noticed, that the cursor color changes according to the background. See, this keyboard is not perfect, especially when you are taking notes or drawing. I know a lot of people turn it around for taking notes or drawing, but it won't hold the pressure. You really don't have many angles to view media. And I'm really scared this keyboard going to leave mark on my iPad screen like my Mac keyboard does on my Mac screen. So I would suggest get a screen guard, and please let me know if you find a good one. If you are someone who uses their iPad for note taking or drawing, you can avoid this keyboard. I mean, it's not a necessity. But for people like me who use their iPad for productivity, you definitely need it. Before the Magic Keyboard, I was using my iPad for 1 to 2 hours a day, but now I'm using it for almost 7 to 8 hours. I only pick my Mac when I have to execute some code, but other than that, I use my iPad for everything. I just couldn't find an app that connects multiple VPN at the same time, but other than that, I can browse, I can write a code, I can commit it to Git and access any server I want. And despite an 11-inch screen, it does not feel small because it's basically in my face. Now last but not the least, the price. It is very expensive, and the only reason Apple is getting away with it because there's no competition. I don't care what you're going to comment now, but trust me, there's nothing out there that can match this keyboard. And the only reason it's worth it because there's nothing else you can buy it right now, at least in India. In other countries, you might be able to buy Logitech Folio Touch, but I will still prefer this because of its design. I tried to stop myself from buying it because I still think it's overpriced, but now when I have it, I don't regret it. I really wish there was more competition out there, but for now, if you want to use your iPad to its full potential, I think you should buy it. I said this many times and I'm going to say it again. It's not a laptop or a laptop replacement. In fact, tablets are luxury items and you should only purchase it when you have extra money and a laptop. It will definitely add a value in your life. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to watch content like this, please subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon. My name is Rohit. I'll see you in the next one. Till then,